Brentford won, Manchester United won, and an abysmal performance from United tonight. But before I speak about them, I want to praise Brentford, who I thought were excellent on the ball this evening. Will feel hugely unlucky that they are walking away with just a point. They had in this game, I want to get these stats correct, they had 30 attempts on Manchester United's goal. They hit the woodwork 3 times. Of course, they scored 1 goal. They had 77 touches in Manchester United box. Another horrific performance by Man United, but you have to praise the quality of Brentford. Brentford have been on a terrible run of late. Brentford have underperformed of late. Brentford have, I think they've got the most amount of defeats in Europe, top flight European football this calendar year. And Man United, on the back of what was a very good performance against Liverpool, an amazing result, multiple players back from injury, and I was hopeful, and I thought we would beat Brentford today. We don't have the greatest of records there, but I thought this was a chance for us. But you have to hold that L, you have to eat that humble pie, and the first thing you do is praise your opponents, because Brentford, they must feel so angry right now that they are not the winners. Man United were lucky. Man United were lucky to not get a battering. Man United should have been absolutely battered and destroyed with the passage of play, the performances, and we'll get into that in a few moments' time when it comes to performances. Ivan Toney was absolutely out of this world. I've seen a lot of people recently say, I don't know if Arsenal need him. Maybe he's been a little bit overhyped. This man came back after months and months out, no preseason, starting flat-footed, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant tonight. I thought Wissa that played alongside him and Mbumu when he came on were great. The midfield was excellent. Defensively, they were just so strong, and they just nullified everything that Man United tried to do. As a collective, they were very, very good indeed. And I looked at so many of their players today, good players. But for me, this is the team effort. And I know they've had a really bad run of it of late. And I know that we live in a world now where everything's about instant gratification and going over the top. Where Brentford are in the footballing world is still a minor miracle, considering their size and their income, where they were 10, 15 years ago to now. And they have had a blip, and they had a really bad run over the last 4 or 5 months. But today was a sign that I think they'll be okay. Today was a sign and a demonstration of how good they can be when they get their players back and when they play as one, because it was an amazing team performance with the likes of Wissa and Ivan Toney that could have had a hat-trick. The performance levels they put in were great. And the character they demonstrated when going 1-0 down in the 97th minute, a smash and grab, and they still carried on going. And that fight, that courage, that bravery, that was mentality then. So the system and the quality got them to a point where they dominated. But that mentality there at the end to not just go, oh, we lost it, and let the last 3 or 4 minutes play out was absolutely brilliant. So I wanted to take some time to praise Brentford, because I think that's only fair to do so. But when it comes to Manchester United, I'll start with the players. Forget the subs for a moment. Every single player that started the game was poor, barring Onana. Onana made some really good saves. I would also say that there were some really good tackles made by Delo. But overall, and I'm talking on the ball here, not off the ball for a moment, on the ball, everybody was poor. To a man, everybody was poor. So when everybody, and it's not the first time this season when every single player has looked poor. But the word that kept on popping into my mind throughout the course of this game was unprepared. This Manchester United team looked so unprepared. Didn't know what to do about Brentford's press. It's like they came into the match with the complete and utter wrong game plan. So therefore, when I look at everybody being poor, I have to look beyond a bad performance. Now, I thought Garnacho was particularly poor tonight. His dribbling was off, bad touches, couldn't beat a man, rightfully came off. I thought Rashford lasted a hell of a lot longer than he should have done. Another stinky, stinky night for Marcus Rashford indeed. Scott McTominay, again, thrown into a deeper role in midfield. Yes, he pushed forward, but I didn't feel like it worked, in my humble opinion today. I didn't like, again, what I saw from Scott McTominay. I thought overall, really poor from him. If we're going to play him, he's got to play off the striker or not at all. Shouldn't have started the game, in my opinion. Casemiro should have done. They said he was fit to play. But there were some really poor performances, and they'll be called out, and rightfully so. I thought Garnacho and Rashford especially. I felt a little sorry tonight for Rasmus Hojlund. We barely created a chance. He had one opportunity that was well saved. But you've got to create strikers like him. Try it 3 or 4. If he ever had the chances tonight, the Wissers and the Tonys have had, he'd have scored some goals. There's no doubt about it. But the overarching performance from this Manchester United team was nothing short of shocking. And why is that? And we've been talking about it for weeks. It is the system and the coaching behind it. We came in, we looked unprepared. We looked devoid of ideas. We looked shell-shocked at times. And it's because our system is broken. It does not work. Now, as I've already mentioned, there's some individuals that were particularly poor. But everybody was poor overall. You know, everybody had a bad night tonight because the system was broken down. And I, for one, have said this after every game in 2024. The win, lose, or draw is how I'm going to assess my feelings in that moment. And we drew, and I'm annoyed about it. Frustrated. If we would have won 1-0, I'd have been celebrating. I'd have said, I don't care. What I'm assessing now, though, is the question mark that too many Man United fans keep going on about. And that is, should we think about keeping Ten Hag? And tonight was another performance that goes into the no category. And by the way, in the past just 3 months alone, there's been one and a half performances that have gone in the yes category. Every other game has gone into the no. And we speak about this many times, and I've been called out on recent shows about it. Why are people so obsessed about playing good-looking football? It's not about how aesthetically pleasing it is. It's about its ability to be sustainable to win games. If you perform like today, as an example, if you perform as we did against Everton, even though we won 2-0, if you perform as we did against Man City, if you perform as you did against Fulham when we lost recently, those performances are so poor, those performances are so inconsistent, you can never guarantee a win. But you know you're going to be you're not going to win enough games to be able to compete, because you can't concede over 20 shots. In today's case, over 30 shots on goal in games and expect to become successful. And that is our system. With and without the ball, we look absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And I understand we need some better players. And a lot of people are calling out Kobbie Mainoo. Of course, he's going to get stick. I told you the hate started. He didn't have a particularly great game tonight. But I can be very forgiving of an 18-year-old. I can be very, very forgiving of an 18-year-old in the broken system. You put that man into a system that is well-organized, well-drilled, he is going to shine. But at 18, he's going to have bad games. I'm not going to ride out on an 18-year-old. Garnacho's more experienced. He had a poor game tonight. I'm not going to go crazy at a young, still relatively inexperienced player playing for a manager that everybody complains about and so the broken system. I'm going to criticize the performances and say they were not good, but I'm not going to land the blame over there. I'm not going to scapegoat them as being a major, major problem. Now, the older individual, Scott McTominay, who's been here through 3 or 4 managers, Rashford, who's been awful, but for him through 3 or 4 managers, Bruno, that was poor again tonight. I'm looking at these guys and I'm saying we need to be looking at changing. Maybe not all of them this summer, but we have to look to refresh this squad with whatever the new style of play is going to be that Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada pick. We need to go out and buy some better players as well. 110%. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying it's all one thing and it's all the system. We have to do both of these things because there's some absolute horrendous players, both physically, mentally, and technically in this team. But anyone that watched that performance tonight that thinks this manager should stay on next year is absolutely deluding themselves. Everything you've seen on the pitch tonight is what goes on in training, chaotic and inconsistent. And these are reports have come out credibly about Manchester United. And knowing that we're chaotic, knowing that we're inconsistent, knowing there is no cohesion and togetherness and chemistry at training is why we perform so sporadically. Why we have great... That goal we scored tonight, by the way, excellent goal. But where is that play for 95% of the game? Even 80% of the game would be an improvement, but we get it in peaks and troughs. And that has to stop. So, look, as I say, from my point of view, and listen, and when it comes to these players as well, I will say this about the players more so than the manager. You get that goal, you celebrate big time, cup in your... Listen, fair play to Mason Mount, really good goal. Cup in your ears, you celebrated massively. And then we restart the game and you become hugely negative. Where was the team? Who was it that scored their goal? Oh, I don't want to get his name wrong. I don't want to be disrespectful. It was Aya. Why did he go that space? We should have just packed that box, low block, barely any room. It was ridiculous. Genuinely, it was ridiculous. AWB gets caught, which he shouldn't be at that point. And then you've got a runner coming in when we basically just won the game a few minutes to go and no one's there. And that is what I mean with these players. Got it up here. And I know I've just spoke about we need technical improvements, but I really feel we've got to fix the noggins first, the brains first, because it's just awful. It's just awful to watch. And as I said at the top, fair play to Brentford. They were excellent tonight, barring their finishing, you would say. I know some good saves from Onana. They weren't clinical, but every other element. If Brentford performed like this week in, week out, their fans would stomach some results like this because you know you're going to be okay. And that's the difference between me and a lot of other Man United fans I come across at the minute. I want sustainable performances because more victories for a club our size with the quality of player that we can attract. If we can get sustainable performances, we're going to generate more wins. We're going to have more of a chance of winning these major trophies, which is where we want to aim to be. But tonight was just, if you could sort of shrink Manchester United down from over the past decade and say, show me what's wrong with Man United, it would be today's game. Struggle to dominate matches, especially away from home. Lack of ideas in the attack, weak in the defense, relied on the moment of individual brilliance and still bottled it. That is Manchester United in an absolute nutshell. When there was a chance, there was an outside chance of finishing in the top 5 position for Manchester United. And Staffy, I've just seen Staffy come up backstage. But Sam said to me yesterday on Straight Facts, why are Man United fans not shouting about it more? And I know I predicted a win in this game. I thought we would win. I take that L. But as I said to Sam, Man United fans thinking about the top 5 because we're too inconsistent with our performances. We needed to get at least 7 points out of our next 3 games. It's now impossible. Well, it's not impossible, actually. We could beat Chelsea, beat Liverpool, and get that. But with Villa winning and Spurs winning today, us dropping points, when ironically we were actually winning with a few minutes to go, it isn't happening. But the most important thing to remember about any Man United fan who's labouring under this illusion we might make it. I want to make it, but wanting it and getting there are 2 different things. We don't play well enough, consistently enough to make it over the next 9 games. We are just not consistent enough. The summer can't come quick enough for us. It really, really can't. And we need some stability. But I'm just in, I don't even know. I'm kind of angry. I almost want to laugh as well. And then a little bit sad because we basically won the game and then threw it away. Equally, we're in the home straight now of the Premier League season. And we can get to this summer, change this manager, change a lot of other aspects of this football club, move out some of this dead wood, stop putting so much pressure on these youngsters and move on from there. But for me tonight, look, I want to congratulate Brentford's performance and say commiserations to them, really, because they should have won by a hell of a lot more. And Man United tonight, we stunk. We were awful. And to walk away with a point, look, we're looking on a results-based analysis here. I mean, walking away with a point flatters us. Even though we were winning, if we're being honest, walking away with a point still flatters us. It was abysmal. There's not much more I can say about it than that. It was abysmal. I've got some super chats and Staffy joining me on the show. This year says, is Ten Hag being purposely forced to play Bruno Rashford? No. We've done this before, Man United fans. We've done this before over the years, this notion that the club might say no to selling certain players, but I don't believe the manager's being forced into playing them. He is personally choosing to do it. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. That is on him. And again today, he plays McTominay, fine. But then you play McTominay as the 10 and you make Bruno deeper. And some may say that's what happened. No, check the heat maps. Bruno's majority touches, edge of their box. McTominay most touches in our half on the right-hand side. So, you know, the heat map don't lie. Absolutely on the manager. We're legitimately worse than relegation teams because of the system. Yes, because of the system. And me and Staffy have said this. Me and Staffy don't agree on everything, but we agree on this. When people say, what about the manager? We've been outplayed by Sheffield United, Burnley, Brentford this season. And barely any of the players in their teams and squads we would buy to improve us. But their systems are stronger. And if this group, that's what I keep saying to people, there are players in this Man United team that must be improved. But a good quality system would make even this group better. This group with a good manager and system would be in and around the top four, would be a Champions League qualifying team. You then start adding better quality to that side, you become title contenders. It is simple. We're only a handful of points of it now, and we've got an awful system. Imagine a good system. I know rivals won't want to hear that. It's truth. This league is horrible. Small clubs and mid-table clubs can't finish the league. Quality is horrible. This year, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, miles ahead. I don't think this league is horrible. You say small clubs can't take their chances. I mean, that's tonight. If we played that game in that same way with 31 shots to 11 again, Brentford win by 2 or 3 goals. It was just one of those nights. I don't think it's a reflection of the league. Disgraceful, absolutely no excuse from Ten Hag. I agree. That draw is worse than the Chelsea draw against Burnley. Man United could not even hold a 1-0 lead in the dying. Listen, I'm going to back my club here. That's not as bad as leading 1-0 and 2-1 against the worst team in the league who have 10 men, dominating the game and not winning. Let's add that right. Performance-wise, it was worse, yes, because we didn't dominate the game. But results? Nah, let's have it right. We should have got beat 5 or 6-0 tonight and we drew 1-1. Results-based, no. Performance, yes. Thank you, AMT, for being a member. Look at that, 32 months. Amazing. I think only Luton and Sheffield United have conceded more shots this season than Man United. It says it all. And this is why me and Staffy bang our heads against brick walls when it comes to people that sit there and say, yeah, but give him time. Give him a proper structure. I don't think there's much to grow from. If Tony played for Arsenal, he would have got criticised for all the misses. Yes, when you play for bigger clubs, you typically get criticised more. He should be criticised for his misses. His performance, though, in terms of his overall play was good. But yeah, he can be criticised, and I think some people have criticised him. So many shots against, crazy touches in the box. Actually felt for the Bees when Mount scored. United just don't look like a team. Maguire prevented humiliation. Enough is enough. This is one of the worst performances from any Man United side I've ever seen. Needs to go. I agree. I don't understand how anyone that should know football persists with McTominay as a starting midfielder, especially deep. Especially deep. It's genuinely crazy that we do that. The woodwork is man of the match. It certainly is. Absolute dog poop, shocking performance. You bang on. It is. It is and it was. And look, I will say this. It isn't just down to the manager. It isn't just down to the players. It is a combination of those two things. I put more weight, maybe 65, 70% on the manager. I really do. But horrendous. I'm just looking at some of these statistics. I mean, we had more. They're just crazy. We actually had more of the ball as well. We had 52% of the ball. And they had 31 shots to 11. That is absolutely horrendous. Staffy's with us now. Cameron's with us. Staffy, an absolute shocker. A shocker of a performance tonight. Shocking performance, but I was lucky to walk away with a point.
You know what I said there? I said, what's so embarrassing, we tried to shoplift. You know, when you walk, people walk into the supermarket, try to shoplift. You know what's more embarrassing than trying to shoplift? Getting caught shoplifting. That's what we did. We tried to steal 3 points, and then they caught us a minute later. And I had a feeling we would win this game on a last minute goal, and I thought I was almost correct because I was sitting there on my watch and I was like, you know what, we're probably going to score a late goal. It's probably going to be McTominay. We're all going to shamelessly celebrate this, and we're going to forget what happened. And we almost did, but they came back right away, and rightfully so. They deserved all 3 points today. 100%. Our man of the match today was between Onana and the woodwork because the woodwork kept us safe. You know that what they hit the woodwork about 3-4 times. So I don't know what to say. But anyways, I don't know where to start from, Terry. You know, I see a lot of people always in the comments saying stuff in the mud. I'm the only one who's not in the mud because I've been calling this for quite a while. There's a lot of people that joined me late, but I was one of the first people to call this out. This is why I can't be in the mud. By definition, I can't be in the mud when I've been calling this out. If you want someone else to be in the mud, Cameron will speak in a little bit because he supported this longer than I did. So we'll get to this soon. But just talking performance, nothing new. They had what, 40 something touches in our box to our 11? We had nothing.
No. Hang on. Sorry, they had 81 touches in our box.
81. I thought it was 40 something.
That was in the first half.
See, I'm looking at just half the stat. I'm sorry. 80 something touches. That's quite embarrassing. Listen, from start to finish, we did nothing in the game. Every time we had the ball in their third, we did nothing. We couldn't do nothing. We knew it because we're so bad. We're such a bad team in possession that when a team forces us in a low block, against a low block, we don't know how to open it up. We don't know how to make the right decisions. When you look at our shots, most of our shots were outside the target. There were easy shots for Flecken to save. Rashford took a couple shots not out the target, outside the box. Shooting outside the box only, which is a sentiment on how good their defense is. Every time they had the ball, they looked like they were troubling us on the left, on the right. Obviously, when Varane got injured, I got a little bit more worried because I know he was our best box defender. And we saw that in the second half. We struggled in the second half to clear the ball out of our box. They kept us. It's crazy that we had possession at the end of the game because when you watch this game, you would think that they pinned us back the whole game. All the chances come from them. You're looking at all the stats are shocking. All of them. We did nothing on the ball. We defended poorly and we attacked poorly. And it takes me back to what these people have been saying because they celebrated that Liverpool win like it's going to lead on to anything. And I came on the terrace and I celebrated shamelessly. And I said, I'm only celebrating the win for today because I know I'm not granted any wins for the rest of the season. I don't. As an United fan, I'm not really granted many wins this season. So I'll celebrate it shamelessly, but I'll never say it leads on to anything. All these people that flip-flopped, you know why there's not a lot of people sitting on the terrace right now? Because all of them gave up. Go back to the beginning of the season. How many people used to come on versus now? All of them have went back on their word so much that they don't even want to speak. I'm the one here standing on business yet again, saying the same thing that I've been saying all season. A big up Cam because you're here, obviously. I know we and you went against each other a few times, but at least you show face. Most of these people don't show face anymore because there's nothing to believe in. This is why every time they talked about top 4 and this and that, and Sam trying to gaslight us and asking us, oh, why are we not talking about top 4, top 5? Because it was never sustainable. That Liverpool win was always going to be an anomaly. You're never going to beat a Liverpool team that way they set up versus the way we set up. It was never going to happen again. There was nothing to take on to the next game, and we showed it today. Garnacho, absolutely shit. Hooked off at 58 minutes. You tagged me after the Liverpool game saying he's talented. Well, I'm waiting for a new tag tomorrow, Terry. You better send me a fail comp and tell me now that he's not talented because he told me he's talented, and now he did nothing today for 58 minutes. And I'm not even going to dwell too much over him because I already know he's crap. This manager is an absolute fraud. And let me before I pass on, I don't want to ramble for too much. I'm gonna let Cam go, but I want to call out one thing because you mentioned this before you brought us on. This manager would rather take out Rashford, who, let's be honest, he had a stinker amongst everyone else, but you know he's your only outlet on the counter, especially with Garnacho being out and you have Anthony on. And Hojlund, I don't know what the hell he was doing all game. He takes him off, brings on Mount and Casemiro because he is banking once again on a last-minute header from McTominay rather than having an outlet on the counter-attack that could lead him to a goal. We have seen Rashford multiple times, especially that they committed with Terry. They brought on Mope and whatever because they really wanted to win. We had more chances after they made that change because they left the space. This coward of a manager would rather cheat the system again and win with a last-minute header from McTominay, which has nothing to do with style of play or patterns of play or strategy, than to keep on Rashford, who could potentially give you something on the break, especially now that you have Mount running in the 10 and occupying spaces and maybe occupying a few defenders, and you have Bruno playing deep, who might play a few passes up to him. This guy's an absolute fraud. everyone who celebrated too much after that Liverpool win, you deserve that. Because I saw people saying, I'm so happy to see Ten Hag smiling. How about my smile? Do I not deserve to smile? You'd rather see that fucking fraud smile after doing absolutely nothing for us all season. But I have to sit here and hold corn all season. And us United fans have to sit here and be depressed all season about the performances, looking at an absolute shit team. For some reason, we're in sixth after all that. But they want to talk about Ten Hag's performance in an anomaly against Liverpool. They can hold that. And anyone who thought about flip-flopping again and supporting Ten Hag after that win, they can hold that too. Because I saw a few of them. They were trying to sneak. The door was slightly getting open and they're trying to sneak back in. No, you're not allowed back because I have the receipts. I have the receipts after the Liverpool game. I'm the one who stands on business, and these people love to come at me. So we'll see now after this performance and us not getting top 4 or top 5.
Listen, I listen with the Ten Hag stuff. Me and you see that absolutely the same and eye to eye in terms of I celebrate. If we'd have won that game 1-0, by the way, I'd be here celebrating because it's a win. But I would still be talking about Ten Hag in the same way, which is the performance isn't good enough. It's the performances that are going to get a sustainability. There's no doubt about it. You know me, the Garnacho stuff, I still do think he's talented, but he had a stinker today, and I can hold my hands up and say that. But my biggest issue with the Garnacho is the same as the Mainus. Of course, Mainu looked poor today. The system weren't working. Why didn't the system work? We were unprepared. They pressed us off the park today, and it was almost like we didn't expect them to play the way they did. The players look almost like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? The second time, I don't know if you guys watch boxing, the second time that Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury's tactic was different. He went out from the first bell and started throwing punches and actually trying to knock the guy out. And I don't think Deontay Wilder expected him to do it. And he was just shell-shocked the fight and got beat. That's how we look tonight. Whatever we've done in preparation for this game, it's like the whistle went and the players sort of sat and went, this weren't what we were expecting. And then the most annoying part about this manager for me, and I'd love to throw this part to Cam, is that he didn't try to change anything to plug holes or fill gaps to try and resolve the issue. It was just, let's stick to how we are, and hopefully they miss their chances and we grab a goal on the break. That can't be Man United strategy, Cam, can it? Well, it is, but it shouldn't be, right?
Nah, man. Staffy said we couldn't get out of our half in the second half. We couldn't clear the ball in the second half. We couldn't clear the ball after the first 10 minutes. We had the first 10 minutes where we had 63 possession or something, and then that was it. The rest of the game was played in our box. Like there's a moment where I wasn't even worried about them scoring. They just were able to control everything. Like I wasn't even like, oh, they're gonna score on. I was like, okay, we still can't get out. We still can't clear. We still can't clear. We still can't clear. We had zero control, and him not making changes. At one point, I looked up and I'm like, "How's Scott still on the pitch?" I was like, "This is that kind of." That's where I got real confused because it's like, fine, you have Scott McTominay, who's bailed you out a few times and gets some goals every now and then, but we know he can't play in a midfield three, like unless he's way up the pitch and making those runs. I think as soon as you realize, like we were playing the same weird system too, where we just kept trying to play balls in behind, but Brentford was like, yo, we're playing like our line's so far back, like you couldn't get behind the Brentford line. So it was like we needed to do something. Eriksson should have came on in that game, in my opinion, and try and take some control back. But I celebrated the Liverpool game, and I won't lie to you, this would have been the first game that I would have celebrated the win, but only because I would have won money. I mean that. Actually, that's the only reason. I mean that. Today was one of those games. It doesn't happen often. Normally, I'm like, a win's a win. This one was tough, man. Like this was bad. Like we looked, like you said at the start, every single player looked bad. Like I can't think of. I mean, I think Delo, he looked all right, but Onana's the only player actually I could say was good because some of those saves he made were ridiculous, and that double save was unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought Onana was good. I thought Delo as well. Delo's really impressed me recently. Like there's some really.
I just like what he's done recently because remember, I hated on him a lot. I hated on Delo, and I'll say I was loud. I said, "Get him out of the team. This guy's trash." He's one of the few players I'm now saying.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, I totally agree. We have a super chat here. Super chat here, Jens. I want to throw it to you. It comes from Blaze, who's a Chelsea fan, who says, Terry, if you're allowed to hold stock in Hojlund despite many stinkers by pushing the blame onto managers in the system, then Chelsea should be able to do the same with Enzo.
That's crazy. that's crazy. Like if you watch Hojlund play, that's crazy. There's always moments where you're like, okay, He just needs more chances. He just needs to get better at making some of those runs. There's always moments where you could tell there's a really good player in there. I mean, sure, Chelsea can hold on to stocks for Enzo. No, I don't think anybody's saying they can't, but you can't compare the two right now, how they're playing. Hojlund's showing that he's going to be a future star. I don't know if Enzo's done that yet. That's just my opinion on it.
Hojlund is a striker. Hojlund needs chances. Hojlund, and again, like you said, Cam, he's showing us something. Enzo Fernandez, he's supposed to be the guy who makes the chances. He's supposed to control the midfield with Caicedo and the other members of the team, and he's not showing that right now. And that's why we're criticizing Enzo more than Hojlund.
Equally, I haven't said that you can't hold stock in Enzo. I'm saying the lack of criticism he gets is wrong. There's nothing wrong with criticizing poor Hojlund performances. I don't necessarily think today was a poor Hojlund performance per se. We were just not getting the ball in regularly enough to him. We weren't creating chances for him. Was he great when he had the ball? No, I don't think he was. But again, no one has said you can't hold stock in Enzo. What we're saying is far too regularly I see him. Like today, you're playing Burnley, and Burnley were cutting through your midfield. Well, it's either him or Caicedo you've got to blame, or partly blame. And like I've said, me and Staffy, we both want this manager out. But we haven't just sat here and said all the players were brilliant. It was just the manager. It's a combination of all of those things that I think you have to look at, Blaze. This one says, bro, talk about United. Stop rambling about I was right all along.
See, it's people like this guy, because put up his other super chat. This is why, bro, like I don't listen to people like him. Put his other super chat. He says Staffy stays waffling. I have sat here all season. Every time I say something, I'm a waffler. At the end of the season, all the players that I rate are actually our best players right now. I rated Dalot all along. He's one of our best players. I rated Onana. I was in the deep ends, bro. I wasn't even in the mud. I was in quicksand with Onana, and everyone now was talking about him. I was in the mud about Manu in the beginning of the season. I said he's our best six when he's back from injury, and everyone said he's a kid. Everything that I've said is happening. But these guys love to criticize me all season. But when I collect my receipts, all of a sudden he just wants to be right all the time. Oh, he would rather see the team win so he can get proven right. Bro, I wish I was wrong because I would rather win the league. But when I call these things and they happen, and then you want to sit here and bitch about me being right, well, that's your fault. Because you're sitting here saying I'm waffling. What the fuck did I waffle about? I told you everything that was wrong with this team. You want me to sit here every week and say the same shit again? You was probably one of the people twerking for Ten Hag when we beat Liverpool. So why didn't we win today? Because everyone told me to stop being pessimistic. We beat Liverpool today. Stop being too negative. So what happened? We didn't win for a reason because it's not sustainable, bro.
Yeah,
this is why we score. We get these.
But no, it's crazy though, Staffy. No, it's crazy. We didn't play. What blows my mind, and it's we didn't play like we played against Liverpool. That's what we looked. That's another thing. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying when you look at the two games.
Staffy, I spoke to a guy this week who you're going to start seeing feature on the terrace very soon. He's very well connected in the football world. We've been working a long time for this, and I was asking him about the managerial situation at the club, and he brought up that Potter's a high priority. Yeah. Amarin's up there as well, because Ineos want structure, but they also want, their words were, calmness. Because right now at Manchester United and at Carrington, the words they use are chaotic and a lack of cohesion. And when you hear that, and that, by the way, the person that told me this isn't a Man United fan or anything along these lines. If that's how we're training, if it's disorganized, chaotic, and there's no cohesion in the training, no wonder we're seeing these sporadic performances. And a lot of how we perform is actually based on the team that's in front of us. If, for instance, however we set up that day suits in a positive way for us the team we're playing, great. If it doesn't, it's like today, we started and we looked poor, and there was no adjustment because it's just, well, this is how we play. We're just going to do it. It's honestly, it's embarrassing to see. And look, Staffy's got a lot of stuff right this year. Obviously, some people, I'm just one of these people. If I get something wrong, I can hold my hands up and go, yeah, you were right. If I get something right, I'll say it and then I move on from it. But a lot of people, Staffy, cannot handle getting things wrong. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. They can't handle it, so they try to deflect onto you, and make you and go for your personality. But Staffy's right about this stuff with Man United, and lots of people are right about lots of different things. But Staffy overall, I will say this, has been right about the lion's share of things with Man United this year. There's no doubt. This year says Cam, do you still want to give Ten Hag another year?
I think I said that already. That I don't. A while, it was 3 weeks ago. I think like 3 weeks ago I conceded, and and like Terry knows me. I've been one of those people where if I get something wrong, I say it. Like I don't double down. I'm like, I was wrong. No big deal, because that's literally sports. Like I found out I was wrong about some things with Ten Hag, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like move on. Am I one of those people who won't back him if he's here though? No, that's never been me either. Like I back whoever's in the dugout, and that's just that. But I don't think he should get another year if we keep playing like this. And I think I've said that. So yeah, no.
I think right now the Erik ten Hag discussion, the in and out, it's more of a hope. I think many of our fans, and I'm part of that, is like, we don't want this, again, drop a manager, sack a manager, bring a new one in. We're tired of that cycle. So I think it's more Staffy, more we hope he's the one. Like we have to stop this, and people are hoping with a new management, a new Ineos are going to come in, new structure, maybe it'll work out. So I think again, I'm part of this in a way. Again, at this point, Erik ten Hag, you can't defend him anymore. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm at this. I don't care if he's gone. I mean, if he stays or leaves, I don't care at this point.
There's hoping for it. There's hoping for it, but as you've just said, it's waking up and smelling the coffee. And look, Staffy had a bit of a friendly pop at me. Me and Staffy are boys. We do shows together about the Garnacho thing. And what will happen? He'll have a good game against Chelsea in the week, and I'll say, "Now what you're saying?" And I was thinking about this just while we've been sitting here talking, and I'm going to stop that right away. It's a fun bit of banter, but it's almost neither of us are going to know if we're right about Garnacho until 2, 3, 4 years time when we see where he is. So if he's off playing in Ligue A doing nothing, Staffy's right. If he's in the Man United team, we're chanting for Prems and he's killing it, I was right. But we're seeing the same thing with the Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out stuff. If we play well against Chelsea, you'll see now what you're saying about him. And then the next game we play badly, and my group will kind of say, well, now what are you guys saying? And I am now at a point where we know what's what. We know what's what. We know that this guy isn't making us into a consistent team. I don't think we need to throw it out. Well, I told you so, you told me. And that's not a dig at Staffy. It's we know the truth. We absolutely know the truth. And everyone who is Ten Hag in, Mark Goldbridge and all, I think in their heart of hearts, they truly know he's done and should go. They just don't want to admit it yet. So it isn't even about, well, I'm right, maybe, you're right, maybe, and it's a bit of a to and a fro. I think every Man United fan knows that this manager's got to go. But because of what you said, Fayez, there was all that hope and that, we don't want to keep sacking managers. They're holding on to their last, by the skin of their teeth, to the hope that he turns it round. That is all it is. Because no one, I've just been sent a message, touches in our box this half, 81 is a record in the Premier League.
Another one he breaks.
Terry, we have the third most shots conceded in the league, 16.9.
It's crazy.
The only two that are more than, 16.6. There's only two teams more than us. Sheffield and one more team. I forgot what the other team. They're at 16.9 and 17 point something.
I am curious how much are on target. How much are on target, by the way? I'm curious about that.
It doesn't matter.
Shots,
I don't know, but the fact they're allowing 16.6 shots, it's too much.
Tonight, only
you're bottom 3 for it.
Yeah, I mean, them being on target is not really about us. It's more about them and their accuracy, us letting it happen. Kevin, you wanted to jump in and say something, mate?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in on your point of like if Garnacho is a good talent or Ten Hag is a good talent. The main thing that all United fans really need to understand is we're emotional fans because we've been in the dumps for 10 years. Everything that goes wrong, everything goes right. Every human being, in my opinion, has emotions, and they see the club and its success. We ruin kids' childhoods, and now we are getting ruined. So when you look at Garnacho not performing, you look at Ten Hag not performing, I think we can all agree on the panel right here. His time is up. We don't play consistent at all. We lose control of the game in the first 20 minutes, and there's no change made. I think there's clear in-game tactics that there just aren't happening, that when you have your badges at this level, you should just learn to say, okay, we need to take a winger off and play one up top and maybe do a false 9-10 role and then have an extra midfielder to try and hold the game, and we're just not seeing any of it. So when we get to these points of like talking tactics, that's gone now. We just need to hope and see when it comes to the board. And like I always say, as someone that works in HR, if the upper level of your organization isn't run correctly and it's chaotic, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to follow the leader's ways of thinking. So if you're doing something crazy, your under people are going to do something crazy as well. And you can see it every single game week. And it just,
you know what else
we're
is
just
keeping
waiting for 12 more games. And then we're just going to see what happens then.
But you know what else makes us want us to keep him? The rumors of Southgate. Let's be honest. I think when that happened, everybody started to get scared again and being like, "Oh no, like I'd rather keep who we have."
I
can completely
do
agree for that, Cam. But
I do agree, but
Do we
This is-
sorry, do we trust Ineos? Oh, sorry.
so yeah, but that's your point. Ask that question, because that's what I was going to allude to. Ask that question.
Do we trust Ineos? So let's say Ineos decide for any reason to keep Ten Hag or put Southgate or Potter. Do we trust Ineos enough to make the right decision? That's the main question, I think.
That's where I'm keeping my powder dry. And I've just decided I'm not going to overreact in either direction. If we sign Zidane or we sign Southgate, I'm going to try my best to keep my reaction as vanilla as possible. Because
if Ineos decide to keep him, would you?
Ten Hag's a little bit harder because I've made a firm stance on him. But we've been asking for football decision makers for a long time, and if they decide, and Staffy made this point the other day on top six, that maybe we have to go for a Graham Potter type person to build a foundation for somebody bigger to come in. Now, we're not going to know that until later on. That is something we're only going to learn with hindsight after. I know the word hindsight's banned on the terrace, but we're only going to learn it after the fact. We're not going to know. I mean, we have thrown money at managers in their pomp at the top of their game. We've thrown money at star name play. None of that has actually worked for us. Maybe we do need a different approach, but we can't scream blue murder for football decision makers and then throw our toys out the pram at all their early decisions. I do think we have to let the new regime, when they actually start to make an impact, which hasn't begun yet, we have to maybe sit back, give our opinions, criticize and praise things. But I would like to see Man United fans for a small period of time at least stop showing their bum cracks on camera and slow down a little bit and kind of wait to see the wood for the trees. Do you remember how when they spoke about Sir Jim coming in, we were lied to that there was going to be double debt? I overreacted to it. Oh my God, they're going to buy it with debt and the club's going to have to pay and how we're going to do. Sometimes you've just got to wait for things. That's my opinion. Staffy, what do you feel about that?
About what exactly? Sorry.
About that question, like with trusting Ineos and that people to make the right decision moving forward.
I mean, you have no other option but to trust them. Because what else can we do? They are the people coming in. And I find it hard to believe that someone like Omar Barada was going to be our CEO, who spoke about not giving players more than 2 years to prove themselves, and if they're not consistent, they will be changed. That's the system that they implied in City. Like, you didn't see players in City stay for too long, especially when they're not performing. I found it hard for them with that mentality to look at this manager and to be like, you know what, we're going to give him a second chance. There's nothing to base that on. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but one small thing. Omar Barada worked at Barcelona when they were run well. He worked at City, right now, Man City, one of the best run clubs in the entire world. Manchester United, we're broke. We are a farce of a club, structure-wise, I'm talking, of course. Old Trafford, I mean, we know all the story about Old Trafford and our playing staff and so forth. And don't forget, to fact and hag, how much is it going to cost us? $10-20 million? I'm sorry, pounds or whatever the currency is. It's not going to be cheap to do so. So, overall, I get that. He has a 2-year rule and so forth, but you're in a different situation here. Unfortunately, he might have to adapt. We might have to adapt to different circumstances because of our last 10 years, how clubs been run. That's all I'm saying. So again, I don't think it's that simple, to be honest. I
didn't say it's simple, right. but you're talking to me. Okay, I get it if you want to talk about it in a financial aspect. And I never sit here and I claim that I'm a financial expert. I don't know all the ins and outs of hiring and firings. I'm just looking at it in footballing sense. In footballing sense, there's no reason to look at this manager and say, let's start a new project. And when you're talking about new project, it's not just a new project in terms of a manager and his team. You're talking about a new project in terms of the organization. It's really rare to see in recent times a whole club change from top to bottom, bar Chelsea, and we've seen how bad their thing went.
Yeah.
But it is a whole different system coming in. It's very hard for me to look at them and see all the people that they fired and hired, and then they're going to stop at Ten Hag. There's nothing that warrants me why this manager is going to be here next year. Because I saw a super chat with that. I'm sure you're going to put it on, Terry. Someone was saying, how about you talk about the game, analyze the game tactically. There's nothing for me to say that I haven't said for 30 games. I've said this. No, but like, how many times have I been on the terrace, whether it's a top 6 whether it's straight facts or whether it's a match reaction, explaining the same thing. If you are sitting here in game week 30, is it, or 29? I think it's 30, and you still want tactical analysis on how United play, that is on you. That is not on me. I cannot repeat myself for 6 months to tell you that we didn't keep the ball, that we were defensively fragile, that our midfield gets outdone by the other midfield. We couldn't keep the ball up front. We had no link up between Garnacho, Rashford, and Hojlund. Bruno's a poor number 10. The substitutions are incorrect. He does it at the wrong times and bringing the wrong individuals. Even Onana, he was brilliant today at saving, but everything in terms of distribution, he couldn't even flex that today because we were getting pressed by a Brentford team and we couldn't play to what's his name's best strength, Onana, which is distribution. And the whole excuse about changes, injuries, because I've been so sick of people talking to me about injuries. The only player that was pretty much injured today and didn't start the game for us was Luke Shaw. And Luke Shaw, no one rates. It's one of the players that I rate, but everyone told me that they don't rate them, so they want him gone. So I'm not going to wait for anyone right now to tell me, oh, you know what, Luke Shaw, we needed him today to play football. Yeah. You had Mount sitting on the bench until the 80th minute, Terry. This guy's been back for injury for about a month. We had all of the international break. He wasn't even called up for England, so he rested ever since that Liverpool game. Got more time in energy in his legs, and he played only 10 minutes today. That was our summer budget. Going on a player like him, and we still played a midfield of Kobbie Mainoo, McTominay, and Bruno. And when he decided to make a change, he didn't take off McTominay. I saw people saying, "Is McTominay even in the game?" Wallahi, Terry, I'm not even joking with you. Towards the 45th minute, I forgot McTominay was on the pitch. I saw him receive the ball. I was like, "Shit, he's playing today." I legit forgot that he's on the pitch, and he decides to keep him, as I said earlier, for a last-minute header rather than bringing on Casemiro, Eriksen, or Mount early. Any of those changes would have helped your midfield. Would it have made it much better? Probably not, but it would have improved us. And he doesn't go for these things. So there's nothing for me to say that hasn't been replicated throughout the other 30 games or 28 games, 29 games that we played already.
I agree. I agree with you. I mean, even Gary Neville and the Sky Sports team have stated on a number of occasions they find it hard to talk about and analyze Manchester United because the issues in the games are always the same. And I spoke about it in my opening monologue. I don't know if the person saw it, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. We've seen this goal so many times this season. The standout one would be Arsenal because it came a moment or two later. But I'm going to put it up on the screen now because I went and got a screenshot while Staffy was talking. But this is after you've got 1-0 up. There's a minute to go in the game. How have you got all those Brentford players free at the edge of the box? So if you want to analyze the game, it's difficult to do it because I don't think anybody has answers other than the team isn't well drilled. Now, this is where me and Carlito, the Chelsea fan, disagree, where he says managers are only 20% of what's going on. It's the players. And this is where I disagree completely because a well-drilled Man United team, and when I say well-drilled, I'll break that down because I always think people understand it. There's passing drills, there's shooting drills, there's corner drills, but there's also drills that you do where it's attack versus defense. For this type of thing, balls being pumped into the box like it's the last minute. You run drills to cope with various scenarios within games. Now, I've never been trained to play professional football, but I did kickboxing at a high level, and you do that. You do it in that as an example. When you do sparring, you spar with multiple sparring partners. So by the time you get to the latter round, you're going up against fresh people. You then do different scenarios. You work on different types of sparring partners for different types of techniques. So I assume football clubs are going to do the same thing in their training. In fact, I know they fucking do it. It'd be obvious. So when you say break it down and analyze it, what do we say anymore? How do we analyze this when we've been seeing this all season? We've just gone 1-0 up and we've left 4 Brentford players on the edge of the box or in our box, completely and utterly unmarked. And there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7 Man United players in our box, including our goalkeeper. We should have 11 players in that box, all camped in front of those individuals. We'd have won the game.
Look at the clock on the top left there. Look at the clock. Oh my God.
It's crazy. And that's just on the goal. The system in itself, we know some of it is the players, but we also know how good Kobbie Mainoo is on the ball. But we weren't getting the ball to him in the right positions tonight. He was then being swamped and being pressed. So something needed to be changed. But as I said in my opening monologue, when you said we don't analyze the game, nothing did get changed. We continued to do the same thing over and over again. And the players looked shell-shocked because they were unprepared because we didn't run the drills in training over the last couple of days preparing for this game right. Our coaches and whoever did the scouting got it wrong, and Brentford played in a way that we weren't ready for. I don't know what more there is to say about it than that. I really don't. Sophia's here with us. What are you saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's what you guys are saying. It's not really much to say tactically with this team. It's the same, trash every single time. We're not consistent with the fact that we had such a good game, against Liverpool, a very good performance right before the international break. And then suddenly here we are being bopped up left to right by a Brentford. How they get that many chances. The fact that they technically, let's be honest, they should have won the game. I think it's very clear that we were lucky with getting a point. It feels like a loss, which is definitely very damning. But I think with the players, it's very annoying to see how very slow pace the game was, and how they were cutting us open. The amount of times we saw Wissa and even Tony threw on goal just by themselves. Where are the people? Why aren't people tracking back? Why aren't people communicating? It's a shambles, but it's the same. So it's like, is there anything else new to mention? I'm at this state where I'm just counting the days till this season is over. That's where I'm at.
I totally hear you. Super chat here says the squad. By the way, hello, little lady. Hope you're well. Beautiful. The squad is full of inconsistent and technically retarded footballers. Well, let's not use that word, but there we go. Wan-Bissaka, he was awful tonight. Do you know? But this is also a Ten Hag thing. I know he did okay at left back against Liverpool, but you played the low at left back because he's more technically proficient. You put Wan-Bissaka at right back because he lacked in technical ability as it is. So don't put him on the left-hand side to make it even harder for him. Scott McTominay, Lindelof weak, absolutely. And he ends up bringing on his centre-backs later in the game. I know that Varane gets injured. I'm not even being horrible. Like, Maguire is better than Lindelof. It's still, in my opinion. Anyway, Ten Hag needs a couple of transfer windows under Ineos, backing down. Like, oh, wow. No, come on. He doesn't. He's got to go.
Okay. Let me tell you why he does it. Can I respond to this theory? I'm sorry.
Oh, please, Ken.
This is why I have an issue with this. The guy gets basic decisions on the pitch wrong. Terry just mentioned Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and I'm so happy that you mentioned that because my lovely friend Sophia is here. And no one has been talking to you guys about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I've been on the terrace for a whole year now. No one went against Aaron Wan-Bissaka, even when he was playing well last season, more than me. And nowadays we're seeing it. This manager, we've seen Rashford struggle this season with no left back. Shaw comes back, does a few overlaps. Rashford starts looking good again. What does he do? He gives him a player who's right-footed, but he plays like he has two left feet. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. 0 overlaps on his side. And then people, why Rashford struggle? Rashford struggles because, number one, he's having a bad season. Secondly, he doesn't have his best partner, who is a left back, a left-footed left back. Instead of accommodating for him, at least give him Delo, who's decent attacking. You put him Wan-Bissaka. Now, Terry, I want you to tell me how many times, not just Terry, you guys, how many times did we go down that left-hand side in the attack and you saw where Wan-Bissaka make an overlap and you're like, you know what? He's going to play him the ball there. If he gets the ball there, we're in a dangerous position. None of us. 0 times. Because
we never played it to him. He looked away. Every time.
Cam, how many times did Bruno see him? There was one chance where Bruno saw him. He had acres in front of him. He's like, nah.
Rightfully.
He took a shot.
They looked the one time when Rashford, it was kind of hilarious. It was Rashford, it was 1v1. Aaron Wan-Bissaka goes down the flank behind him, and he is just like,
him.
Nope, not doing it.
Don't rate him, bro.
Not doing it.
His own
They don't trust him. They don't trust him.
And one more thing there. I'm sorry. You guys, listen, Aaron Wan-Bissaka fans, you are so lucky. Tony hitting the post, I would have had a field day with you guys because he played him onside. I'm going to tell this to people. I know there's no option on betting apps to do this, but if there ever is, go bet on 2 things. Aaron Wan-Bissaka playing the striker onside and falling asleep on the back post. It's cash money every game. The last time he's done that, he's done it against Bayern where they scored. I think it was Coleman who scored against us, someone like that. Now, the second one today in the season, which was today, Tony is played onside by Aaron Wan-Bissaka, just standing on his heels.
No, well, the goal came very
if he doesn't
similarly
hit the
as
post,
well.
that's a goal. It's all on Aaron Bissaka again.
Totally agree. United fans always fall for the trope that a small change in their club is going to have an instant impact in whatever is happening at their club. Before Ten Hag, he was the savior before he even managed the game. Yeah, listen, I think some Man United fans are certainly guilty of that. I would be fair and also say you have to listen to Soberman's overarching point, because people come back to Terry, you were praising what Ten Hag was doing and said it looked like he could get you to the top. But I caveated that with, yes, but we needed the football decision makers to change. Otherwise, he'd go down this route that he is also in. And then when he tells us, actually, I'm not here to coach my style of play, I'd have sacked him on the spot. It's funny because Enzo has been creating chances and showed his quality too, but he is judged as a striker and ridiculed for his 4GA. Look, again, I can't talk for what idiots do. I don't ridicule him for his GA. I'm talking about the lack of control your midfield has, and the way you're seeping opportunities through your middle. It's probably I'm not going to tell that joke. You might offend people because it's Easter, but you're like a polo. There's nothing in the midfield when it comes to stopping people. That is where I criticize him at this moment in time. You man need your own episode of Dumb Criminals. How can you rob the Brentford bank and then go back in 3 minutes and return the money? Remember when Ten Hag said Chelsea don't know how to defend? 115 shots faced and counting. That must be like the last 5-6 games. That's been crazy. It really has. Guys, look, I've got to shoot. I've got to get back to my brother's 40th birthday party because I left it to come and do this because I'm so dedicated, and KJ's off. That's the real reason. So I'm going to shoot and love you and leave you all. Thank you all for coming on. To all my super chatters, everyone hit the like button. Thank you. I'm not well done for the performance tonight, Brentford, but Man United. Look, a few people have asked me why I'm not screaming and why I'm not angry and why I'm not fuming. I could have had a drink.
I was about to say it's insanity to say the same thing, man. It's
it is. I almost weird. Exactly. I got really excited when we scored. When we conceded, my actual first thought was, they deserve that. I'm just being really fair, but there we go. Listen, people, take care of yourselves. Enjoy your evenings. Happy Easter to everybody that's celebrating tomorrow, and we'll see you all again soon.